I think the Chinese government is emphasizing on success of these CAI agreements. While I think that for different purposes, the CAI would be a very, very important agreement between China and the European Union. On the first level, because as the current U.S. administration is withdrawing from all its multilateral commitments, is withdrawing from a free trade system in the WTO and so on and so forth, and then we need to redefine new rules in these critical moments of the global economy's crisis. We need to find a way to redefine the new rules, to get out the global economy out of this recession with new commitments, new rules. And so CAI could be a very important instrument to give people confidence and to give people a new orientation of development. That's something very, very important. Secondly, as I said, that the EU economy and Chinese economy are deeply interdependent. So if we promote this kind of bilateral agreement, that could push the development of both investments, Chinese investment in Europe and European investment in China. And that could enlarge the economic exchange, that could give a lot of rationality to the labor division, to the value chain construction, and then that could make the economy in Europe and China more efficient, and that could give impetus to the economy development in the middle of the global recession. And then as the so-called new economy is losing momentum in the United States, we Chinese and Europeans, we are very inclined of new technology, renewable energy, sustainable development. We should invent another way of development, not only so-called new economy related to internet, but to all these sustainable development technologies. And then Europe is ahead of the United States in these sectors, and China is a big supporter of the sustainable development. So we wanted to share our experiences. We want to introduce more European technology into China, and we wanted to share our experience with European partners. So the success of these CAI could give the world a positive signal of future world economic development. So I think that's why I think both from European side and Chinese side, our leaders just expressed their willingness to push forward the agenda in the CAI.
Well, I totally agree what Professor Ding just said. I will add, I'll try to answer directly the question, what benefits, What does it mean for Chinese citizens or European citizens? First, well, it is an agreement about investment. Yes. And not about free trade. It's not a free trade agreement. It's not the US-China Phase 1 deal. It's something much more important. It's how do you motivate investors to work in Europe and in China. Chinese investors in Europe and European investors in China. Why? Because the figures are going down. There's a reality. We've been negotiating for 7 years now. Already 33 rounds of negotiations. And we hope to conclude now, because if we do not conclude now, we'll never conclude. Now, member states, EU member states, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Poland, already have investment agreements. But they all came to us, the European Union level, to say we are blocked. There are things we cannot do. So can you please negotiate in our name? And so we have a mandate to try to facilitate investment between Europe and China. The benefits is clear. When you have new investment, you have employment, you have growth, you have new taxation resources, things like that. Over the last 20 years, since China entered WTO, the size of the economy of China has totally changed in 20 years. It has become, some say, the IMF says today, in PPP terms, power parity purchase, it is the first world economy. Other studies, the World Bank says it's the second world economy. Anyway, EU, China, US are the three top economies. And because of that, the way we can work, trade, and invest with China has to change. Because it's not the same China today that it was 20 years ago. It's a different economy. And so the purpose has nothing to do with ideology. It has to do for us, first and foremost, not even interest. It has to do with rebalancing the relationship. Because the size of the economy has changed, so the privileges we gave to China 20 years ago are not valid anymore. So we need to rebalance, meaning that we are not going to accept anymore some ideas, some principles. First principle by China against reciprocity is to say China is a developing country. I've said no, not in investment, not anymore. When you look at new energy vehicles, China is number one in the world. It's not number 150. It's not Bangladesh. It's not Ghana. It's not Cambodia. It is China. And so we need to have a more balanced relationship. When China says we need to meet halfway, we say no, there's no halfway. We need to rebalance. It's not you give me A, I give you B. No. You need to open the markets that are still closed. You're speaking about telecommunication. But do you know that the telecommunication sector in Europe is totally open to Chinese? Totally open. Some people may not want to sign contracts, but it is open. The telecom sector in China is totally closed. Totally. Not 1% is open. It's totally closed. So Huawei has 40% of market share in Europe. 40%. 40. European companies of telecom, suppliers in China, investors, Ericsson, Nokia, have huge factories in China. Less than 11%. After 40 years of investment, something is very wrong. Very wrong. So we need to rebalance. And finally, what I want to say is that reforms, domestic reforms are not ideological by nature. It's nothing to do with ideology. It has everything to do with performance. And President Xi, yesterday, in Shenzhen, made a few, I think, extremely important points, confirming the strategy of 1979, 1980, paying tribute to Deng Xiaoping, because of the economic context, for China to double down on opening and reform, I think is exactly why we need to conclude the CAI. And by the way, if you don't like CAI because it looks like CIA, may I suggest that you call it in Chinese like we do in English, not CAI, but Kai. Kai Fang the Kai.
We learn from our experience to deal with the most complex, difficult partner, United States. to reach the deal, the first stage, the key player, Mr. Lazarcida and Navarro, all these guys, during the COVID-19 period, never criticized China. So it's good. If you have a deal, better than no deal. So we need to sign this BIT or CIA or whatever, Kai, as soon as possible. But the problem is, always when the Europeans make promise, we should do that before, but you postpone because you need more time to, Parliament, 27 members. So that makes China maybe.
Yes, if you have difficulties, he proposed to conclude the first phase.
No first phase with you. No. That is real multilateralism. We are 27.
We need to guide the new phase of the globalization, of the service, trade, digital trade, green recovery. I think we definitely need a new recovery, yeah.